Hey, look at this! It's Rogue Legacy once again. If you are new to watching Rogue Legacy, I've played this game before, but I will try to explain things once again as we go along, so that if you're new, you can keep up. If you've seen this before, I will talk about that a bit more as we move forward, but just to get things started, we are starting out with Sir Lee, who's our initial character, who's a level 0 knight. And not a whole lot to this character. We can swing a sword. We have a little spell that shoots a dagger across the screen. Up at the top left, you can see our health in green and our mana in blue. We'll go ahead and get started, and I'll try to describe a number of things as we move along. I was originally hesitant to do a new Rogue Legacy series because I couldn't come up with a gimmick, with kind of a reason to do it different or play it differently. And then I decided, the heck with the gimmick. I just like this game and I want to play it again. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so here we are. So, this is Rogue Legacy. It is a roguelite, kind of roguelike, light version. So it's got a number of roguelike characteristics, including a unique variety of permadeath. It also has a randomly generated dungeon, a particular type of castle that we're in. Each time we go into this castle, it'll look different. We'll run into different rooms with different enemies. The various enemies are all trying to kill me. I can kill them to get gold and sometimes various other useful benefits. And yeah, we will learn a whole lot kind of as we go along. There's actually a fair amount of depth to this game. This game also has RPG kind of elements, so it's kind of a bit of a grind and kind of working. Whoa! That is a mini-boss that we will not be prepared to take on just yet. That will also be a difficult room, so I'm just kind of searching around for easy rooms that with our initial character we'll actually be able to have some success with, and if I'm careful I should be able to do this. Whoa! Or not. I want to gather as much gold as possible, because the gold will be useful in the not-too-distant future for purchasing various things. We'll learn about that in a bit. But for the moment, it's mostly just about exploring different rooms, killing enemies, and trying to gain gold and a few other mysterious items that we will find along the way. Let's see, what are some other roguelike aspects to this? There's an interesting version of permadeath that I already mentioned. There's a variety of different character classes, and so we start off as this knight, but we'll learn about various character classes as we go along, and we'll be able to unlock more characters and more abilities as the game progresses further on. Some of these paintings actually come to life, as you will see, and okay. That statue had a chicken leg inside of it, so there's lots of furniture that you can break that usually has money, but sometimes has things like a chicken leg, which will give you more health. Yikes! Or mana potions, which give you some of your mana back, and I'm about to die, and I still have a fair amount of mana, so let's actually spend my mana to try to kill some bad guys and hope to stay alive. You see those floor spikes that are coming out of the floor trying to get me? This painting's gonna fly around the room to try and get me. One of the important things, this is a fairly difficult game. Like Spelunky, it's one of those not for the faint of heart types of games that the first time you play it, it's extremely difficult and you will die a whole lot. But unlike Spelunky, whereas Spelunky, it's permadeath, like once you die, you start over at the beginning and you just replay the same kind of game. This one, there's actually kind of an RPG style of progression. Alright, let's see if I can keep this Charite off of my back. And so as a result, while you're getting better at the game, you can also eventually kind of like earn new power-ups and equipment that will help you progress further in the game. So if you're willing to invest more time, you will be able to progress further in the game as a result of that. And so that makes it kind of an interesting, I don't know, combination of styles in terms of both game genres and just what it means overall to the gameplay. I find it very enjoyable, which is why I'm back to play it again, despite the fact that I beat the game already. And so I hope that a number of you will enjoy watching it as well. Yikes! Okay, I'm going to try to do that again. Basically, firing my little magic dagger the moment I enter the room. Basically, each time you exit a room, all of the enemies who are still alive will return to their initial positions. That's chicken leg, which will give you some health. 10 hit points recovered. Any enemies who are alive will return to their initial positions and will have their health bars completely refilled. And so, you either want to finish off enemies before you exit the room, yeah, or kind of like not attack them at all, because if you attack them somewhat and then exit the room and re-enter, the enemies kind of get healed and start again. And yeah, I'm just kind of holding on by the skin of my teeth. There's a mini-map in this game. You can see that the particular castle or dungeon or whatever you want to describe this as is kind of a series of interconnected rooms, all of which have different layouts and feature different enemies. There are a finite number of different room layouts, but it's a pretty large finite number, and so things kind of stay exciting for a while. Because there's a lot of different rooms to explore, and until you've played the game a lot, you won't have seen all the different room layouts. Here is a mana potion, which gives me 10 magic points back. And until we reach our first death, it's going to be just kind of a lot of this, although perhaps we'll find some kind of special or secret kind of rooms in this first run with this first character, who is still just kind of barely holding on by the skin of his teeth. I've got 17 hit points. I have a feeling there's a number of different enemies who might be able to kill me in one hit at this point. Unless I find another chicken leg. Need to dodge, dodge, dodge. Just like Spelunky, this is very much a kind of action platformer where movement skills are the most important thing. Ouch. Being able to dodge the various enemies who are trying to attack you is one of the most important skills. Alright, Sir Lee has been slain by a great knight. Like many roguelike games, once a character dies, it shows you kind of like a summary of all the enemies you've killed. We saw that in Desktop Dungeons, we saw that in Spelunky at the end of each level, it shows you who you killed. But now, here's where things get interesting. Choose your heir. So Sir Lee is dead, but he has 3 different children that we can choose from. And each child will have a different unique name, it will have a character class, and it will have some traits. So we have a barbarian with EHS and coprolalia. We have Sir Gans the mage, who's a giant and who is gay. And we have another mage who is the one and has a chakram. And let's see. Let's take Sir Judson, a barbarian. As it says on the right is a walking tank. This hero can take a beating. Barbarians have a very large hit point pool. However, they're not as kind of as strong in terms of melee attack. But EHS, you conduct electricity really well. Turns out to be a useful trait as well. So you get to choose among one of 3 children. That will be your next character. And now we're at the manor. I will come back here in just a moment. Well, let's go ahead and make some purchases. So basically, there's 2 different screens. Yeah, let's go ahead and kind of like show off the different screens. So one of them is this screen that we saw at the beginning, and the other one is this screen. And this is kind of like in between characters fighting in the castle, what you can do. And this is where the RPG aspects come. All the gold that was earned by the previous character is passed on to his heir. In this case, our new character, who is, I've already forgotten his name, Sir Judson. And so now he can spend that money in order to purchase a variety of different things. And you can either purchase things here in the manor that will help improve things and unlock other things. So for example, I could purchase Health Up, which will give me a few more hit points, and unlock another thing, which is going to upgrade one of our character classes. Or one of the guys that I first got here was the Smithy. And you can also unlock some characters who will appear over on this screen, who have other various effects. I'm going to skip through the text here. In general, the writing in this game is very poor, and so I'm going to skip lots of bits of text. But basically, this is a guy who will sell you equipment. And most of the equipment is stuff that you'll have to find in chests in the castle. However, there's a few kind of like starter items that are available right at the beginning. And so, for example, there is a sword that we could buy for 250 gold. It says it at the bottom right. And you can see if I were to buy the Squire sword, damage would go up +7. And weight would go up +15. Currently, I'm at 0 of 50. And so basically, your character has a carrying capacity of how much weight, how many different items he can carry. And then there's various items you can unlock that will, for example, give him more health and mana. And so both of these things would be good things to unlock. And so I'm going to go ahead and buy both of these pieces of equipment. And I want to buy this as well. This is going to give you more magic. I'm a barbarian who isn't a great magic person. So I'm going to hold off on that and instead spend some more of my money trying to purchase a few more of these things. If I get a mana up, I believe that will unlock... No, I was wrong. I thought that unlocked someone here in the manor. I've forgotten the order that various things get unlocked. And eventually we'll run out of money. I'm down, you can see at the bottom right, I've got 190 gold. I can spend 90 to unlock Equip Up, which will increase my carrying capacity, so that as I find more equipment, I'll be able to get it. And here, now I finally unlocked a few new things. The Enchantress and the Architect. And I have exactly 100 gold left. I'll be able to unlock the Enchantress, and we'll at least get a chance to see what she does in just a moment. And as a result, I'll be able to unlock some new character classes. I can upgrade a mage character class to an archmage. We'll find out more about these character classes later. But this guy, the Smithy and the Enchantress, we're going to be seeing lots of them as we move forward. Once again, I'm going to kind of skip through the text. The Enchantress sells you various runes, which mostly give you different types of power-ups. So for example, a Sprint rune lets you dash short distances, and a Vault rune gives you a double jump. And most of the other runes we'll have to go and find, once again, in chests in the castle. But those are very useful power-ups. You have to spend money on them as well. And so we'll be buying lots of new equipment and lots of new power-ups for future characters. One other thing I forgot to show off, the training dummy here. Basically, you have unlimited mana that you can spend, and the training dummy just gives you a sense of, as you equip different armor and weapons, how much damage they're dealing, and so you can just use your sword and use your magic spells just to get a sense of how much damage you're doing and try using different swords that you eventually unlock and different things. In any case, we have time to go through another run. In order to re-enter the castle, you have to give Sharon all of your money. Fortunately, I managed to spend all of it. I have 0 money left, and so that's no penalty. But that also encourages you both to spend all of your money as well as to spend it wisely and to try to divide up your money so that you kind of manage to spend just about all of it among the different things that you can purchase. But basically, that prevents you from moving forward. Okay, so this little thing that I'm standing on, one of this character's traits, where is the button I am looking for? Here. Sir Judson. Over on the bottom left, it says EHS, platforms stay open. And so the thing I'm standing on, oops, is an example, wrong button, is an example of one of these platforms that normally I would have to downstrike. I don't remember that we saw that with our first character, but basically I have the advantage. Can I shoot a, neat, there was a guard box off screen. There's an enemy who fires bullets continually at you, ouch. I ran into the side of the spikes and they do just as much damage as the top. But I managed to fire my magic dagger to the right and hit that guy off screen, which is great. These things are going to shoot at me. Okay, here is something new that we haven't encountered before that could be very good. There are these statues that you can walk up to and press up. Will you pray for assistance? Yes, we will. Hyperion's Ring. There's a number of different power-ups that can appear here. If you notice at the top left next to my daggers, Hyperion's Ring, that orange circle, appears over there. And so that is a very useful thing. Most of the times when you pray for assistance, you will get something good. Occasionally, you will get something bad. In this case, we got something good. What Hyperion's... Whoa! Darn it. Hyperion's Ring will do for me is it will give me what's called a free Deathify. Basically, when you die, rather than just dying and having things be over, it will kind of immediately resurrect you, bring you back to life, I think with like a quarter of your hit points, and throw you right back into battle where you kind of left off. This is another thing that we didn't see on the previous room. So this is a teleporter here, which allows you to teleport to any other teleporters that you've seen, and there's always a teleporter in the first room, and so you can just teleport back there, and so you can see where we are on the minimap, and the teleporters are signified by the little kind of light blue arrow rooms. And so I can go ahead and teleport back to where I was. In the teleporter rooms, there are always 2 statues. One of them always has a chicken leg, which will restore some health. And the other one always has a mana potion, which will restore some mana. And so that's fantastic. And these teleporter rooms happen at the boundaries between different areas. This is risky, but I'm going to hop down here. Okay, I'm going to jump back up. You saw that looked kind of like all different color and had different sets of enemies. That's the dungeon down there. That's a very difficult area. We're not ready to go down there yet. But basically, on the boundary... Ooh, here's another interesting kind of boundary of areas. So here's another area that's the forest that we might be able to survive in, but let's not go there just yet. There's always a teleporter room at the beginning of one of the new areas, but there may be multiple ways to kind of enter the area, and so in this case, I kind of found a different way to enter the forest. Okay, here's something else new. So many new things. First off, there are some guard boxes to the right of me that I want to kill with my magic daggers. Alright, I killed the ones who were directly over here. I'm gonna go ahead and spend some mana and try to... Killing the ones in the bottom are going to be difficult. Let's do this. Going to take a little bit of damage, but I fired 2 magic daggers, and as a result should have killed some of them, and now maybe if I'm careful... I see a mana potion on the ground, but I don't think it'll give me enough to fire another magic dagger. Darn it! Alright, let's get over here. Alright, this is another safe place to stand for the moment. Alright, not safe enough. There's Charites after me. So on the right side of the screen, you'll see it says Faerie Chest, defeat all enemies. Faerie Chests are where we find the runes that the Enchantress will sell us. Oh gosh, I'm gonna die. The runes that the Enchantress will sell us that give us various power-ups. Yikes. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get through here. I'm very low on hit points at this point. I'm gonna exit this room and hope to make it back with more hit points if I happen to get very lucky and find some chicken legs to heal myself, or different things. Here's some more mana, that would help tremendously. If I get some more mana to fire magic daggers over at those guard boxes, that would help a whole lot in that previous room. So here's a guard box up here in the top right, almost hiding behind the minimap, and they just shoot continually at you. Over time, you get to learn all the different enemies that appear in the castle and what their various attacks are like. I'm just peeking. Okay, here's another good room. This is the boss room. Once again, it has a teleporter that I'm standing in front of now. It has treasure chests that contain a lot of money or sometimes other good things. And just like the other teleporter room, it will have a chicken leg and a mana potion. I'm not going to go inside that door to fight a boss because we're not ready to fight a boss yet. But I was going to go ahead and grab those power-ups. And I'm going to grab a little bit more furniture in here in case it has more power-ups. But at this point, I can fire a couple more magic daggers. I would really like to get through that Faerie Chest room so that we can show off Faerie Chests and getting runes, if possible. And so I'm going to try to go enter that rune that was kind of kicking my butt before. And so let's go to hop back down here, fire 2 magic daggers to take out 2 of the 3 guard boxes over there. 2 of the 4, apparently. Apparently there's still 2 guard boxes there. Yuck. In that case, I'm going to come back to this room one more time. If I can take out 1 more guard box, I think that room... Ooh! Faerie Chest, reach me in time. I'm not going to be able to reach it in time. There are various... We saw briefly with the Enchantress before, one of the things was a sprint rune or a dash rune that allows you to kind of like quickly make a short dash in a certain direction. That would have been very useful in this room in order to reach the Faerie Chest objective. But each Faerie Chest will have a certain objective that you have to successfully meet in order to open the chest. This one is locked because we did not reach it in time, and so we can't actually get into that Faerie Chest anymore. There's a lot going on here. Yeah. It'll make more sense over time after you've seen things a few times. I wasn't sure how much we were going to encounter with our first couple of characters. Turns out it's been a bunch. But, yeah, for the most part, kill a bunch of things and start learning slowly various subtleties of all of the different monsters and rooms and things that are going on. And, yeah, the game turns out to be a lot of fun. Yikes! And it's even more fun when you succeed, which I want to do so desperately. I've forgotten that I have Hyperion's Ring. Oh, there we go. Extra hit points. That's great. And I have enough mana that I can fire another... Let's go ahead and finish... I'm pretty sure I'm in a good state to finish this room, because I've killed most of the enemies in it already at this point. So these eyeball things, they're called scouts. You can see each time you hit an enemy, has a little hit point bar that appears up at the top along with its name. Some of these enemies you kind of one-hit killing, and so the hit point bar kind of disappears very quickly. I'm going to take a quick peek in the room over here as well to see if it's anything good. It is. This is another teleporter room, which means this is kind of the official entrance to the forest, an area that we peeked into very briefly earlier. But with the extra hit points and magic points, I think I'll finally be able to finish off that other Faerie Chest room, where the goal, the completion requirement for the Faerie Chest, was to defeat all enemies. So let's see if we can do this now. Gonna kill one more guard box over there, hopefully. Yes, and now with only one projectile coming at me at a time down here, I should be able to approach this guy. Okay, here comes some more Charites. Not a problem. Can take out the guard box finally, and then there's one more guard box up here. Great, and once I've defeated everybody, up on the top right it says objective complete for defeating all enemies. And now I can go to the Faerie Chest and open it. Siphon rune, cape. We'll talk more about runes in the future. But in any case, those are very valuable to get. The runes that you get, there's like 15 different types of runes, or maybe 10, I forget how many there are. There's a lot of different types of runes. Some are more useful than others. It's kind of the luck of the draw, which ones you happen to unlock. But it's definitely good to get all of them, because you definitely kind of need them to have a lot of success in terms of progressing in this game. Getting good Faerie Chest runes and good equipment upgrades, things like better swords and better armor, are some of the most important keys, especially at the beginning of the game, when you're kind of starting off with nothing with your characters, in order to be able to succeed and get farther in the game. This game has an interesting difficulty curve. I think it's a little bit too hard right at the beginning. And then after you start getting some equipment, it kind of eases off a little bit, and then it has other kind of hard bits. There's a variety of inflection points. I'm just trying to look at the mini-map and see where we should go. It looks like there is a chest full of gold on the left side of the room. I've not been too focused on describing all the different enemies that I'm attacking here, but hopefully you're starting to see a number of repeats, a number of the same enemies, and get a sense of how they attack. This guy's a Frosted, and so he has a magical attack where he shoots little ice spikes down at me in a predictable pattern, and doesn't move too quickly, and so he's not too bad of an enemy in terms of some of the easy enemies that we start out fighting here in the castle. These various, I don't know, things firing fireball projectiles at me. I forget what they're called right now. But you cannot defeat them using normal attacks. It is, however, possible to kill them, but we'll learn about that much later in the playthrough, perhaps. I don't want to have too much kind of overwhelming information. Same thing with those spiky balls that are bouncing back and forth. They'll deal melee damage to the player, but there's no easy way for the player to kill them, at least not at this point in the playthrough. And so we'll learn more about that in the future as well. But for the most part here, I'm just kind of going around to different rooms, trying to earn as much money as possible, all while staying alive, and doing a not bad job of it, if I don't mind saying so myself. But yeah, there's also a fair amount of... I talked about the RPG aspects of this game, in terms of... Whoa! Darn it, that was foolish. You spend a bit of time kind of grinding for money, so that you can purchase more upgrades, that you'll be able to survive longer in the future. But nevertheless, I find the general gaming of this game to be a lot of fun. And so despite portions where it's somewhat repetitive, I find it kind of continually enjoyable. And on top of that, each character, like once you die, once again, permadeath, you have to choose one of your heirs to play with. Each character has a different set of aspects that are good or bad about that character. And so that always keeps the game interesting. This is an unusual room. It is a carnival. So let's talk to this guy. 10 daggers to destroy 8 targets. I am not very good at this carnival game, but basically how it works is you try to hit the targets. And I've already missed once. and twice, and so obviously I'm not going to be able to succeed at this. But you can still earn a little bit of gold, even if you miss. For the ones that you do hit, you get a little bit of gold bonus. And so we'll go ahead and finish playing the game. If I had managed to hit 8 targets, as the guy suggested at the beginning, then I would get a much better bonus at the end of the game. But it's not going to happen here today. And so I'll just do my best, which is not very good. Couldn't even hit 8 targets? Pfft, good luck with the rest of the castle. Yeah, thanks a lot, guy. In any case, that's like a little bonus room. That's another thing I like about this game is just when you thought kind of most of the game was pretty predictable and you're in rooms fighting these various enemies. Oh my gosh, so many enemies right there. Let's see if I can kill 1 or 2 of them before they attack me. Yikes! Yikes! Must dodge the attacks. Alright, there we go. One key when you're faced with a room with many enemies coming at you at once is, when possible, to try to split enemies off so that you're only attacking 1 or 2 at a time. It's not always possible. Another thing to learn is, for example, with the various enemies' movement patterns and capabilities. This guy, I think he's called the Flame Lock. Let's hit him again. Flame Lock. His projectiles, his little fireballs that he shoots, cannot travel through walls, whereas the Scout, the little thing that was shooting little, like, blood projectiles at me. Ooh, hey! You might notice that that chest was a different color, and it had a stat in it, strength increase, +1. That is a very useful thing to have found. That will cause us to deal more damage, and is a permanent stat upgrade, I do believe. And so, this character, and I believe all of our future characters in our family bloodline will have that advantage conferred onto them. So that is great. What was I saying before? Right, it's useful to try to peel off enemies 1 at a time, and it's also important to learn, for example, that blood bullet projectile that just sailed past is an example of a projectile that does go through walls, whereas the Blaze Lock's projectile did not. And so learning those aspects of the various enemies that you encounter can enable you to come up with strategies that allow you to fight them a whole lot better. And so, for example, when I was fighting the Blaze Lock before, and here's another one, it's often the case that you can find little walls to hide behind, and then all of his projectiles just run into the walls. Yeah, some enemies it's easier than others. Oh my gosh, that Charite came out of nowhere, and here comes another one. Charites can fly through walls. Deathify! That is activated, once again, as a result of the fact that I got Hyperion's Ring when we prayed for assistance earlier. And so, yeah, it restored me, I think, with 1/4 of my hit points. And so we just come kind of right back into play, where we left off, and continue playing. And so, sometimes you're in a bad situation, and even after using Deathify and coming back to life, you're still in a bad situation and can't get out of it. Other times, like this, I think as a result of getting some more hit points back, because we are a barbarian, even just getting 1/4 of our hit points, since we have such a large hit point pool, means that I'll be able to survive a lot longer, especially if I play well and dodge. Then, yeah, that could be a real boon. And so that was a very fortunate thing for us to have found. Notice the spikes on the floor. They pop up a moment after you're standing on them. So you have to just kind of make sure that you're not standing in one place on those spikes for very long. And hey, look at this. We got a couple of power-ups. We got a mana power-up and a health power-up. And so those are going to help keep us alive even longer and allow us to obtain more gold, such as this. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Alright, this character ended up living a whole lot longer than I thought he was going to. I mentioned at the beginning, once again, this is a barbarian, which has, yeah, the left side, huge hit points, low strength, and magic points. And I find right at the beginning that having a character with a lot of hit points is one of the best things that you can get. Here we have another teleporter room. If I were to go upward, this would be the 4th area. We saw the dungeon, we peeked into it below, and the forest to the right. This is the Maya, which is always on top. And it will be very difficult At this point, I think we want to go into the forest, because it looks like we've cleared out most of the castle. The different areas are different colors. The castle is light blue on the minimap, the forest is green, the dungeon on the bottom is red, and the Maya is dark blue. I'm going to go to this teleporter. Over on the right, we will enter the forest and continue fighting and exploring. We will probably encounter some new enemies, such as this guy, who is a blaze lock. He's kind of like the upgraded version of the flame lock. He shoots more projectiles, and probably has more hit points as well, I didn't notice. But once again, same style of attack, and his projectiles can't go through walls, although they can go through these little platforms that you can kind of jump up and down through. And okay, here's another new guy, Tall Guard. He is armored in the front, and so you barely do any damage when attacking from the front. If you can manage to jump over him, you notice that guy jumped into the ceiling. There's spikes on the ceiling. Spikes deal damage to the enemies as well as to your character. And so in that respect, the spikes are somewhat fair. If I could manage to jump over this guy and hit him from behind, I would be able to deal a whole lot more damage, but given the spikes on the ceiling, I want to not jump too high, and so it's going to be difficult to jump over that guy. Yikes! Okay, that guy, yes, a warg, moves very quickly. Ugh, and I have a lot of trouble with them. Someone who's a little bit more dexterous might be much better at the wargs. So you saw that there's some kind of magic caster guy up in the sky over in the top right over there. He is an Earthzor, and he summons like our little rock stalagmite that kind of comes out of the ground underneath your feet, as you just saw. Okay, this Tall Guard I can actually get behind. And so if I hit him from the back, I'm hitting him from 24, whereas from the front I was hitting him from 9. So you can see the advantage of hitting that guy in the back. And so here in the forest, we'll find some different enemies who are, yeah, both simply, ouch, different as well as more difficult. So Jesbin has been slain by a blaze lock. C'est la vie. La vie! Once again, there's all the enemies that we defeated, but we managed to gain a whole lot of money, and so perhaps next time we will go spend it. I hope that you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you again soon.